It's the Sky Report. So, Patrick, who
Okay.
is not Tony?
Yes, right, that's right. What's in store for us in the night sky this month? Well, if you plan to go out camping in a dark area, and if you want to get ahead of the crowds, camp out, say, somewhere near Area 51, the skies are nice and dark, and you can actually see this beautiful band of light called the Milky Way, and this is a kind of a wide-angle view of the sky, showing the Milky Way sweeping between three bright stars, Deneb, Vega, and Altair, making a summer triangle, and then sweeping down to the brightest portion of the Milky Way, which is representing the center of our galaxy, near Sagittarius and Scorpius. And each of these constellations has a bright planet near it. The brightest one is Jupiter, and a little bit fainter is Saturn. Now, if you can't find either of these planets, this next graphic will help you, because on the 9th of August, the moon will be right next to Jupiter, and just above the bright reddish star Antares in the heart of the Scorpion. And then just 2 days later, the moon will move over to Saturn.
Right.
So Saturn is a lot
pointer.
fainter, but it's right next to the moon, so you might have a hard time seeing it, but it's right there. So what would you see if you had a fairly large telescope? So say a 14-inch telescope. This is an image from an amateur astronomer showing Jupiter and its bands, and this beautiful, the Great Red Spot, which has darkened, so you can even see it through an even smaller telescope, something like a 60-millimeter telescope or a 2.5-inch telescope in aperture. And Saturn, its rings are wide open, and you can see that fairly easily, even with a small telescope. And if you don't have a large telescope or even moderate-sized telescope, you can always come on by and at night, when it's clear, and look through our telescopes on the lawn and even on the roof, and you can see both these planets. They're being featured through our telescopes at this time. In the morning sky, there are no bright planets or anything like that, but you can, my favorite thing is to look over towards the east and watch the constellation of Orion emerging from the dawn light of the east. It's kind of like the heliacal rising of Orion when you haven't seen it for a year. So that's kind of beautiful to look at.
That's actually my least favorite. I love you as one of your favorites, least favorite, because that means fall is coming.
Oh, well, yeah.
So whenever you finally see Orion and you haven't seen it all summer long, then you, uh-oh.
Yeah. Okay, well, how about the constellation Taurus? You like that?
Yeah.
That's just above that. And then the beautiful cluster of stars known as the Pleiades or the Seven Sisters. It's also worth looking at in the morning. Now, we're going to go to our moon calendar. And so the early part this month, first week, is great for the Milky Way viewing. And then the moon gets brighter and brighter until it's full on the 15th. And then it wanes again, and then you can, at the end of the month, it gets dark enough to see the Milky Way. But the few days leading up to the full moon, in fact, on the 13th, 12th and 13th, that's the night of the Perseid meteor shower. And so its maximum is the night of the 12th through the morning of the 13th. You do have a small window of a moonless sky, and if you were to look on 9th through 10th, you have about 2 hours after moon sets and before dawn, 1 hour, 11th through 12th, and less than 20 minutes on the 12th and the 13th, which is the maximum. So it produces about 80 to 100 meteors in a clear, dark sky. Here with the moon, you'll probably see a few bright fireballs and a few bright meteors.
Per hour?
Per hour, yes.